virtue of the fact that you have paid the price, you've learned those lessons, you work on the little things, you are willing to give a little extra. Although you only have 75% ability, you play a little over your head, and we expect you to. We do that as a team, 11 at a time. 4 years from now, we'll be walking out here as a national champion. And I'll tell you this, I expect nothing less.
Welcome inside the Post Oak Hotel in Houston for the Paul Bear Bryant Coach of the Year Awards. Good evening, everyone. I am Holly Mills Gardner. It is such an honor to be here in Houston tonight, lauding the best of college football. Tonight, we will not only celebrate the 9 finalists for College Coach of the Year, but we will also introduce you to our Heart of a Champion. You know him most as a former Stanford player, also a Cardinal coach. But you will find out why he's revered so much by players, coaches, and the university. We will also bestow the honor of the Lifetime Achievement Award winner to John Robinson. He has the most amazing story also. You know, he started in Northern California. He traveled north to Oregon, back down south to USC. Then he went over east to UNLV. He headed then to the SEC at LSU. And who knows, he may not even be finished yet, I'm not sure. But we're about to find out. And you know, tonight is going to be amazing. It actually would not happen without our presenting sponsor, Marathon Oil. I am actually here with Lee Tillman from Marathon Oil. So great to have you here. Thank you so much for being a part of this event tonight. Why have y'all chosen to support the Bryant Awards year after year?
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Holly. You know, we've been privileged to be the presenting sponsor for the American Heart Association Bear Bryant Awards now for 13 consecutive years. And we just committed to an additional 3 years, which coincidentally will take us out to 2024, which is the centennial of the American Heart Association. But at the core of it, the mission of the American Heart Association aligns with the core values of our employees and of our company to really promote the health and well-being of the communities where we live and work. And this unique event provides a venue not only to continue Bear Bryant's legacy, but it also allows us to honor these great coaches, but also raise much-needed funds to continue the work of the American Heart Association with the goal of eventually eradicating heart disease and stroke.
Yeah, well, speaking of his legacy, you know, Coach Bryant was known for his legacy of excellence and leadership. How does that align with your mission at Marathon Oil?
Yeah, well, I certainly believe that Coach Bryant lived by the principle that anything worth doing was worth doing with excellence. And Marathon Oil, our company, our employees share that same commitment to excellence. We take great pride in delivering the responsible, the affordable, the reliable energy the world needs each and every day. But beyond that, Coach Bryant recognized that it was not just about success on the field, but how did he prepare his players to contribute back to society once their playing days had ended. And in that, our employees share that same obligation. And we simply want to ensure that everyone, everywhere, has the same opportunity to live a full and healthy life. You know, where much is given, much is expected.
That's for sure. Well, you have been giving a lot, and we cannot thank Marathon Oil enough for making tonight happen, and year after year. Thank you so much, Lee.
Thank you, Holly.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Well, this is definitely going to be an exciting, amazing night, star-studded event, I promise you. To help me get things kicked off, welcome my co-host, Andrew Monaco.
Holly, thank you so much. It is wonderful to see everyone this evening and in person. That's what's so nice. We did it virtually a year ago. Great to be back together this year. And as much as we are excited to host the 2022 Bryant Awards live and in person this year, the decision to provide an in-person experience was considered very carefully. The American Heart Association is committed to keeping guidelines in place to reduce the spread of COVID-19 while celebrating our mission in a meaningful way. All of our guests here tonight have been tested, and they tested negative for COVID-19, and we appreciate their support as we take proper actions to lessen the risk of our attendees. Well, now it is time for us to meet our finalists for the Paul Bear Bryant Awards this year. We're going to do this alphabetically. We begin with Dave Aranda, Baylor, from 9th to 1st, from 2-7 to 12-2. Big 12 champions, Sugar Bowl champions. That 12-2 mark, the first team in school history to win 12 games. Dave CLAWSON, Wake Forest, ACC Football Coach of the Year. He captured the Atlantic Division with a 7-1 record, 6th consecutive bowl appearance, and the 38-10 win in the Gator Bowl that capped an 11-win season. Luke Fickell, Cincinnati, the greatest season in school history. After defending their American Athletic Conference championship, the Bearcats were 13-0, and they were the only undefeated team in the country, and that led to their first college football playoff appearance. Jim Harbaugh, Michigan. Coach Harbaugh said, "To me, one of the best seasons in Michigan football, 12-2, a Big Ten championship, number 2 in the college football playoff." Heisman Trophy candidate Aiden Hutchinson said, quote, "We climbed mountains this season no one thought we could. We set the standard for the future of Michigan football." Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss. 5-5 in 2020 and carried momentum from their Outback Bowl victory into 2021. Led Ole Miss to its first 10-win regular season in program history, and that included a 2nd consecutive Egg Bowl victory. And that 10-win season also led to an invitation to a New Year's Six Bowl, the Sugar Bowl. Pat Narduzzi, Pitt. 11 times the victory lights shined atop the Cathedral of Learning on campus. Behind a Heisman Trophy candidate quarterback and a Biletnikoff Award winner, Pitt captured its first ACC football championship and a New Year's Six invitation to the Peach Bowl. Nick Saban, Alabama. Alabama reached 13 wins for the 9th time in school history. And to get to that number, the Crimson Tide won the SEC West. That was the 16th time, 14th outright. The SEC Championship, the 29th for the school, and the 8th under Coach Saban. And as the number 1 seed, the CFP semifinal in the Cotton Bowl Classic, advancing to the championship game for the 6th time in the last 7 seasons. Mel Tucker, Michigan State. An historic season for the Spartans. 11 wins for the 6th time in school history, and a New Year's Six Bowl victory. Its 2nd, and it was a win in the Peach Bowl. And his first Gatorade bath, green, of course. And Mel Tucker tweeted, "Brought in the new year with my first Gatorade bath. What a surreal feeling. I love this team." Kyle Whittingham, Utah. The all-time leader in wins at Utah, now 144 after this year's 10-win season, with number 10 coming over 10th-ranked Oregon, giving Utah its first Pac-12 championship since joining the conference in 2011. And with that came the Utes playing in the Rose Bowl for the first time. Now, as we honor Coach Bryant's legacy tonight, we not only are recognizing distinction and merit, but we're also raising life-saving funds for the American Heart Association, which serves as a relentless force for longer, healthier lives. For nearly 100 years, the AHA has been leading the fight against heart disease and stroke, striving to save and improve lives. Now, you do not have to be a coach, nor do you have to be an athlete to realize that all of our lives are touched and affected by teams. And it's a life-saving team of doctors use their skills to allow Kenneth Horson to be a member of another team, the offensive line, known as the Big Blue Wall of the Kentucky Wildcats.
welcome Kenneth. You know he was, last year, he was the comeback player of the year. So let's give him a round of applause for that.
3 years ago, before I came up here, I underwent open heart surgery myself. So it was April 1st of 2018. I was eating dinner with my family and I started experiencing a pain in my side. They took me to the hospital. That's where they found there was a growth on my heart valve. Told me I needed to have open heart surgery. So that was the first thing that came to my mind, was I gonna be able to play again? I just knew that if I was gonna get through this, I just had to have faith. I had to be strong. I hope I don't take it for granted, because I literally saw how fast it can be taken from you. At the end of the day, we're all trying to live healthier lives. If I can advocate for heart health and just help even a few people live a better life, I feel like I've done some good work.
If you want to learn more about how you can help the American Heart Association, please go to bryantawards.org or text 71777. All right, coming up next, we are going to meet our finalists for College Coach of the Year. Don't go away. Welcome back to the 36th Annual Paul Bear Bryant Awards. Tonight we will find out who our College Coach of the Year is. Speaking of Bryant family, I am actually sitting here right now with Mark Bryant Tyson. It is so great to have you here, part of the Bryant family. Guess what I just learned? Your son just played in the national championship. He is a backup quarterback for Alabama. How was that experience?
It was really fun. I mean, just him being a part of it. He dream of his whole life, and went there out of high school and have had 3 years there, and it's been a wonderful experience. What
does it mean to your family just to have Bear honored in the way that he is tonight?
Well, he back in the day, coaches, and they still are very good friends, but they hung out together more than fellow coaches. In the conventions, they'd play golf, and Coach McKay, as I was talking to Coach Robinson, that they would hang out and go play golf, kind of hide at Palm Springs, some of those tough places. But he would love being a part of a coach, his name being attached with these great coaches. He would be honored by that. He always, every year when they voted for the national championship, nothing against the press, but the coaches award and the poll was the one he wanted every year. Of course, he wanted AP too, but it's something about that bond. These coaches work so hard together. They understand each other. It's truly a family thing, and to just be honored here with these coaches is a big honor.
Well, it's an honor to have you and your family here, and of course, Bear's legacy. I know he's looking down on us right now and loving this moment. So thank you so much for joining me, making this night happen.
Thank you so much.
Now time for us to meet our finalists. Let's begin with Mel Tucker. After a 2-5 season in 2020, Mel Tucker showed early how much he loved and how much he believed in his team. When the season started, Coach Tucker handed out T-shirts. On the front, it said Destination. And on the back, the GPS coordinates for Lucas Oil Stadium, the site of the Big Ten Championship, and coincidentally, the National Championship. This is what Nick Saban has said about Mel Tucker. His energy and enthusiasm is uplifting to everybody. Sometimes it gets overlooked, but one of the most important things you can have is if players want to play for you.
The journey of Michigan State head coach Mel Tucker has now come full circle. After being part of Barry Alvarez's first recruiting class at Wisconsin, Coach Tucker's first coaching job was a grad assistant at Michigan State under Nick Saban. The circle became full when he was named Michigan State's head coach on February 12th of last year. Stating there was no secret sauce to success, the Spartans opened the season with a dominant conference win at Northwestern. Following a win over Youngstown State, the Spartans moved to 3-0. After a win at Miami, 38-17, outscoring the Canes 21-3 in the fourth quarter. Being relentless and accountable was accurate the next week in an overtime win at Nebraska, and moving State to 4-0 for the first time since 2015. An explosive and opportune offense led the way to 3 straight wins to get Michigan State to 7-0, and it set up a top 10 matchup with rival Michigan. At his press conference after being named head coach, Coach Tucker promised to be relentless and accountable, and nothing was truer here. Rallying from a fourth-quarter deficit, Kenneth Walker III led the way with 5 touchdowns and almost 200 rushing yards in a 37-33 win, and gave Michigan State an 8-0 start. And Coach Tucker became the first Michigan State coach to defeat Michigan in his first 2 meetings. Fighting for each other was apt as Michigan State reached the 10-win level for the first time since 2017, with a snowy win over Penn State in a regular season finale. And Sparty completed a terrific second season, scoring the final 21 points in a Peach Bowl win, and marking just the 6th 11-win season in Michigan State history, coming off a 2-win season last year.
Paul Bear Bryant Award finalist, Mel Tucker.
Thank you so much. That was quite an introduction. It's very humbling. I want to thank the Paul Bear Bryant Award for inviting me here, and the American Heart Association. This is a great event. I've learned a lot. I've got 3 pages of notes. It's just been incredible. It's been great for me personally. I want to congratulate Big Ken. Where's Ken's Big 68? Great job, man. So proud of you. Very inspiring. Yep. And Coach Robinson, want to congratulate him. But I want to give a special thanks to Coach Nick Saban. Coach Saban, as you saw, I've known him since I was 18 years old. I just turned 50 on January 4th. Coach Saban recruited me when I was in high school, and he gave me my first opportunity to coach at Michigan State in 1997, and he laid the foundation for me to be a coach. And people don't notice about Coach Saban, but back in the day, we didn't have these huge staffs. You had the 9 coaches. You had 4 GAs. You had 2 on the field and 2 off the field, and that was it. Coach Saban always made sure that he had 2 minority GAs on his staff. That was very, very important to him. And I happened to be, in 1997, be one of those. And, but I'm really humbled and honored to be here. This is it's a great event, and I hope to be back here again soon. Go Green. Thank you.
Up next, Pat Narduzzi. When Pat Narduzzi was hired at December 26th in 2014, he pledged that his Panthers would play with a tough, blue-collar mentality. How else would you want that but in the city of Pittsburgh? And that promise has been kept. He also said he takes great pride in wearing the Pitt script on his chest each day as head coach of the Panthers. It's an outstanding place, he says, with amazing people. He's one of those amazing people, especially after Pitt's amazing season.
Momentum for the year started early in a win at Tennessee. Emphasizing touchdowns, Pitt scored 5 straight TDs on possessions inside the Volunteer 20. The offensive firepower was a sign of things to come, as Pitt reeled off 41 or more points in 3 straight games, including 2 of 52 or more points. Following a program-defining win over ACC power Clemson, Pitt climbed into the top 20 for the first time under Coach Narduzzi, and Kenny Pickett started to earn Heisman eyes rather than just being a dark horse. After a loss to Miami, Pitt finished the regular season with 4 straight wins and clinched the ACC Coastal Division title. When he took the job in 2014, he knew they could win a championship, and he kept that promise, winning the ACC for the first time. And what a season this was for Pitt, winning 11 games for the first time since 1981, having a Heisman finalist in Kenny Pickett and the Biletnikoff winner in Jordan Addison. In his 7th season at Pitt, Pat Narduzzi is a Bear Bryant Coach of the Year finalist.
I would like to thank, the 8 other finalists. It is hard to get to Houston and get to this award banquet that you're all at this evening. It's been an incredible ride for our football team this season, and can't thank them enough. I want to thank the American Heart Association as well for all they do for their amazing work of saving lives and impacting people, and also for being a part of this Bear Bryant Award. When you think of heart in the American Heart Association, you think of all the heart these players and coaches play with, and I think it's fitting that they're a part of this award. So thanks for having me today. Good night, and hail to Pitt.
All right, you do not want to go away, because up next, we are going to honor our Lifetime Achievement Award and our Heart of a Champion right here live in Houston, Texas.
It is downtown Houston. That is the site of the 36th Paul Bear Bryant Awards presented by Marathon Oil. We are in the gorgeous Post Oak Hotel. That is our home as we bring to you the 9 finalists this season. We have met our first 2, and it is time to meet 2 more. We thank you for staying with us. Up next, it is head coach Luke Fickell.
The acronym TEAM that Luke Fickell wears is more than just a phrase. Together, everyone achieves more is something that has taken the University of Cincinnati to unprecedented heights. This season, their Bearcats were 2-0 when they went to Bloomington for their first road game of the season, and they faced an early 14-0 hole before coming back to win 38-24. Then came the barrier-breaking win at Notre Dame. In their first regular season top 10 matchup in program history, Cincinnati said, "Mission accomplished," as they came out of the South Bend with a 24-13 win. That put the rest of the season on a silver platter. As November now beckoned, College Game Day made their first ever appearance in the state of Cincinnati. And the Bearcats didn't disappoint, defeating Tulsa 28-20. Desmond Ridder set a school record, throwing his 79th TD pass the following week in a route of South Florida. On Senior Day at UC, Desmond Ridder accounted for 5 touchdowns in a 48-14 rout of SMU. They secured their second 12-0 start in program history, wrapping up the regular season with a 35-13 win at East Carolina, setting the stage for a defining win the next week in the American Championship game. And on a special night, Cincinnati reached 13-0 and won their second straight American Conference title with a 35-20 win over Houston. Although a loss in the college football playoff ended their season, what a season it was. They finished in the top 10 in scoring offense and defense, set school records with 70 touchdowns and 516 points, and a Thorpe Award winner in Kobe Bryant. The 32 seniors will go down in Cincinnati history.
Obviously, I'd first like to say thank you to the American Heart Association for all the work that they do, and giving us this opportunity to represent our universities with a lot of these coaches tonight. I try to say that we represent team in everything that we do. We put it on the back of our jerseys, on the back of our jackets. It is about everybody. Together, everybody achieves more. I don't think in this game you can be successful by any ways, not just with a few really good players. The ability for guys and people to do things together in many different ways is the beauty of what our game really is. I appreciate it. I'm honored, not just to be in the mix with these other 8 guys, but just to have my name associated with Paul Bear Bryant is truly humbling and an honor.
Our next finalist is Kyle Whittingham. Now, the University of Utah has gone through an incredible amount of tragedy this year, but out of tragedy came triumph. Here's former Bear Bryant Award winner, Kyle Whittingham.
A former Defensive Player of the Year at Brigham Young, it should come as no surprise to see the unprecedented success this year for former Bear Bryant Award winner Kyle Whittingham. Winning their first Pac-12 title and playing in their first Rose Bowl is the culmination of a season to remember. After a sluggish 1-2 start, Utah defeated Washington State at home on their homecoming game to reach 2-2. And then came a breakthrough win. A dominating 42-26 win at USC put the season on the upswing. 6 different players scored for Utah in their first ever win at the Coliseum. Coming back home the following week to face Arizona State, it was a tale of 2 halves. After trailing by 14 at the half, Utah scored the game's final 28 points to win, 35-21. After a slip and a loss at Oregon State, a big win came the next week in a determined and emotional win over UCLA. The number 22 was retired in honor of Aaron Lowe and Ty Jordan, as Utah improved to 5-3 and 4-1 in conference. After a win over Arizona, number 3 Oregon rolled into town, but the Ducks left quietly after being dominated in a 38-7 Utah win that also made Coach Whittingham the all-time Utah win leader with 142 wins for the university. A defensively dominant win over Colorado set up a rematch with Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game, where the Utes were dominant once again, winning their first ever Pac-12 championship and their first conference title since 2008.
Thank you very much. And thank you to the Paul Bear Bryant Selection Committee, the American Heart Association for inviting me back. This is my 3rd opportunity to be here. Very grateful for that, very fortunate. Wish I could have been there in person. It didn't work out this year, but I'm so grateful for being included in the ceremony. Congrats to the other finalists. There's a great group of coaches here, all very well deserving of being the Coach of the Year. Obviously, only one person's going to get that, but coaches that have had a tremendous season, and just congrats to all of them.
A very special part of the awards tonight is our fan vote. It is time now to find out who that winner is. Andrew?
Holly, thank you very much. And Sean Lafferty is the Bryant Awards 2021-22 co-chair and senior partner, advisory markets leader at KPMG LLP. He's got the results of our fan votes. Sean?
The fan vote, sponsored by KPMG, gave you, the fans, a chance to vote for your favorite coach. The KPMG fan vote is a separate vote from the Coach of the Year award. The fan vote is online, and it helps continue the awareness of the American Heart Association and Paul Bear Bryant Awards mission and awareness of heart health. The winner of the KPMG fan vote by a large margin is Sam Pittman, coach of University of Arkansas. So congratulations to you, Coach. Congratulations. Thank you.
Sean, thank you very much. And for Coach Pittman, they went 3-7 last year, did not get to play in a bowl game. This year, they went to the Outback Bowl, and they beat Penn State, and Arkansas finished number 21 this season. He seems to be the right fit for Arkansas. We move on with our finalists for the Paul Bear Bryant Coach of the Year Awards, and I just saw this tweet on Monday from Coach Lane Kiffin. He said, "I'm thankful for all of it, the highs, the lows, the blessings, the lessons, the setbacks, the comebacks, the love, the hate, everything." He experienced all of that and more, not just in his career, but in this special season with Ole Miss.
At his introductory news conference in December 2019, Lane Kiffin stated, "There is football, Then there is SEC football, and there is nothing like it. And how those words turned out so true. In year 2 at Ole Miss, the Rebels have taken giant steps. After a 5-5 first year in Oxford, his message of not coming here to be good but to be great came into play. In putting up big offensive numbers in 2 early season wins, Ole Miss welcomed Tulane into Oxford and put up 61 points, tied a school record with 41 first downs, and quarterback Matt Corral accounted for 7 touchdowns. While Coach Kiffin and Ole Miss are known for the aerial attack, a Week 6 mild visit to Tennessee had Ole Miss run the ball. Matt Corral ran for 195 yards and the team ran for 279. After wins over Vanderbilt and rival Mississippi State, Ole Miss finished with their first ever 10-win regular season, completed their home season at 7-0, averaged 35.9 points and 507 yards per game. Coach Kiffin has kept his promise to take Ole Miss to a national level.
Thank you very much. Very honored to be here. Sorry I could not be here in person. Thank you to the American Heart Association, Coach Bryant Selection Committee, Sam Pittman for just winning the fan award vote, and all the finalists. You know, really cool to be on here to follow Coach John Robinson and, you know, paths have crossed in many different ways, being able to be at USC a couple times. Just so grateful to be part of these assistant coaches, these players, and continuing to bring Ole Miss in the direction that we're going. So really exciting year, exciting to be here tonight, just really honored and privileged. So thank you to all.
Now our next finalist has been a Coach of the Year. He has been a Coach of the Year in the Patriot League. He's been a Coach of the Year in the Colonial Athletic Association. And how about the ACC Coach of the Year? And when he was hired at Wake Forest, Dave CLAWSON preached patience. Boy, has it paid off. The Demon Deacons' Gator Bowl victory was their 6th straight bowl appearance with their 4th win in those bowl games. It was a program record-tying 11-3 record this season and a school best 7-1 in ACC play.
Being a Coach of the Year is not breaking news to Dave CLAWSON. Before his tenure at Wake Forest began, he was the Patriot League Coach of the Year at Fordham, Colonial Association Coach of the Year at Richmond, and won the MAC Conference at Bowling Green. He has now taken Wake Forest into new territory. After a 2-0 non-conference start to the season, they began ACC play with a dominant win over Florida State. Quarterback Sam Hartman showed signs of things to come with 2 touchdown passes, but the defense was dominant, forcing 6 turnovers. The following week at Virginia, the offense scored on their first 7 possessions, and the defense had a monstrous day with 6 quarterback sacks. In a heavyweight fight, Wake moved to 5-0 for the 3rd time this century with a hard-fought 37-34 win over Louisville. The offense continued to set records in a road game at West Point, winning 70-56, and the offense scoring 63 in just 17 minutes of time of possession. Following a win over rival Duke, Wake reached 8-0 for the first time in school history. They went on to win their 2nd ACC Atlantic Division title, became the 2nd time in school history to reach 10 wins, and reach a 6th straight bowl game. Coach CLAWSON is the only active Power 5 coach to reach 10 wins at 4 different schools.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bear Bryant Coach of the Year finalist, Dave CLAWSON. Congratulations. Thanks.
Whew. It's truly an honor to be here tonight. I first want to thank everybody associated with the Paul Bear Bryant National Coach of the Year Award. In our profession of college football coaching, the name Bear Bryant represents excellence. I'd like to thank this evening's beneficiary, the American Heart Association. What an incredible organization. I think as coaches, you're always trying to learn and grow. Kenneth, I never met you until earlier today when you were walking in line and I signed a football. But after watching what you went through, I'm going to have our whole football team have CPR training this semester. What a great idea. When I was fortunate enough to win the ACC Coach of the Year, I was asked, how did it happen? And I quickly said, when these four things happen, coaches get awards. When you have institutional alignment, when you have the ability to hire a great staff, when you have a bought-in football team and you have a supportive family, then miraculously coaches get awards. And I'm so blessed to have all four of those things. Thank you so much.
We still have more of our Paul Bear Bryant Award finalists to meet, but when we come back, we will meet our Hearts of a Champion, and that is Coach David Shaw. That's when we return to Houston. Stay with us. Welcoming you back inside the Post Oak Hotel, the ballroom. This is the site of the Paul Bear Bryant Awards presented by Marathon Oil.
I'm here to introduce Coach John Robinson, who's our Lifetime Achievement Award winner this year. And last night at dinner, I had the opportunity to meet Coach Robinson for the first time. And I heard some wonderful stories about his career and about knowing Bear Bryant, which was a nice tie-in that I didn't fully expect to hear about last night. I could sit here and talk about Coach Robinson's career, but you can Google that. But I will tell you this, he has participated at every level of football in this country that you can do. He played in high school, he played in college, he was an assistant coach, he was a college coach, he's a Hall of Famer, and he was a pro coach. Not many people in this industry can say they spanned all that, and you know what? He did that with longevity. Over 65 years involved in the sport of football and serves right now as a consultant for the great school LSU. So he's there and involved. And so I really think that it's amazing that if we had to choose somebody for a Lifetime Achievement Award, John Robinson meets all the checkpoints for Lifetime Achievement. And I feel like we have probably awarded it this year to someone who's going to fit very perfectly with the past winners in there and giving back to the community of football what he did and his participation from A to Z.
There's a program on another network called A Football Life, and nothing could be truer than that for John Robinson. It all began at Junipero Sierra High School, where he set up his future as student body president. The Rose Bowl was his future, as he went to college at Oregon and played on the 1958 Oregon Rose Bowl team. After coaching at Oregon in the 60s, he made the move that made his future, joining John McKay at USC in 1972. After a short stop with the Oakland Raiders, he returned to Troy, where he was head coach from 1976 to 1982. Coach Robinson then made the jump to the NFL, taking reins of the Los Angeles Rams from 1983 to 1991. He made a return to USC in 1993, coaching there until 1997, winning 2 more conference titles and multiple bowl games. He later made the move to become the head coach and athletic director at UNLV. Coach came full circle in 2010, returning to San Marcos High School, and then served as a consultant to Coach Orgeron at LSU. A football life, indeed.
Ladies and gentlemen, our Lifetime Awards honoree, Coach John Robinson. Congratulations.
I first met Bear Bryant at USC. I was a young assistant and assigned to go pick him up at the airport. And I did, and it was great. It was scary and you know, he's 11 feet tall. Honest to God, he really is. I, you know, drove him in and brought him in. He and John McKay were great friends, and they would talk football. All of us that coach wind up thanking everybody for everything. And let me be also join that group. The Heart Association is fabulous. All of us that have some maturity get closer to those associations. And this means a lot to me. I'm glad somebody realized that I hadn't died. I say, is he still alive? We better give him a damn award. Thank you all very much.
Tonight's Heart of a Champion Award is being bestowed upon a coach whose contributions to the sport on and off the field are intertwined. You may know him as a head coach. You may know him as a leader at Stanford, where he has engineered one of the most successful programs in the sport. But while success on the field has been the hallmark of the program, so has the team's academic success. And his players' triumphs on and off the field are a testament to his leadership. And while he has the heart of a champion, it's what he's done for his brother and for those that are around him that truly demonstrate the heart of a champion. So tonight we're blessed and honored to have the opportunity to recognize Coach Shaw as the Heart of a Champion Award recipient tonight.
What is family? Is it following your father, a coach, from team to team and city to city? Is coaching at your alma mater more than just X's and O's? A playing career at Stanford that went from 1991 to 1994 led to a lifetime relationship with the Cardinal that included more than one sport. He became offensive coordinator under Jim Harbaugh, with the team setting numerous offensive records and multiple All-Americans. But that is just one reason why we are here. In 2018, his younger brother Eric was diagnosed with a rare form of skin cancer called mycosis fungoides. At the time, Eric was 38. Needing a transplant of cells, David said, "Tell me what I need to do." While still running practices and coaching games, Coach Shaw continued his mission with resounding success. Eric was declared cancer-free on January 1st of 2019, and they are now literally blood brothers.
Thank you very much. First and foremost, I want to thank my wife, Corey, who's here with me tonight, and our family that went through a very, very difficult time. But first I want to say thank you to the Bryant family for this. This evening is so special. As a coach's kid, I was around the game of football, loved the game of football, and like most kids my age, we had our football players that we looked up to, but in my household we always talked about coaches as well. And I remember early on hearing the name Paul Bear Bryant. Coach Bryant, I still can't call him Paul. Coach Bryant set a standard of excellence in this profession that my dad followed, that my dad looked up to. Set a standard for coaches of how they behave, or how they push their teams, and how they achieve, and at the same time, as was said earlier, help people. Coach Bryant is, especially in my household and many households like mine, is also looked up to for helping integrate the South in college football. for setting a standard of looking at people's character and their abilities as opposed to what they look like. Setting a standard for excellence, as you heard earlier, winning a game no matter how well they could win it. And I'm terrible at this quote, but he can beat him with his'n and also beat you with your'n. I'm not from the South, so I don't say that the right way, but I think you know what I'm talking about. But so grateful to this award, to this group of people. I've been here multiple times and so grateful every time I'm able to come here because this is so special. And part of the reason it's so special, I want to say thank you to the American Heart Association. And I've said this before at this event, and I'll say it again, the American Heart Association saves lives. So thank you to all that contributed. Thank you to all that have helped this organization save lives. Do not underestimate the influence we have on the people that we coach. A kind word, an encouragement, a standard set high, and a young person pushed towards that standard. Those things sometimes will get to the field. Sometimes we're talking about people that may never play it down. But part of our charge as a coach is to teach and push and mentor and help and cajole in any way we can to get the best out of that person, both on and off the football field, is what we're supposed to do. So thank you for this award. Thank you for this time. God bless you all, and don't ever underestimate the influence we have on each other. Have a great night. Thank you.
We still have our remaining finalists to come as we continue for the Paul Bear Bryant Awards presented by Marathon Oil. We'll return to the Post Oak Hotel in this beautiful ballroom and continue with our show just after this.
Welcome back to downtown Houston. We are live at the 36th Annual Bear Bryant Awards. I'm Holly Mills Gardner. We have just a few finalists left to announce. It is time to find out who they are. Andrew?
And now to Jim Harbaugh, our finalists for the Paul Bear Bryant Awards.
Finishing the 2020 season unranked brought a new impetus to the proud Michigan program. Behind a dominant defense and explosive offense, the team set new records. Setting the tone after a Week 1 win over Western Michigan, the Maize and Blue were totally dominant in a 31-10 win over Washington in the Big House, as Aiden Hutchinson had 2.5 sacks and Hassan Hoskins ran all over the Huskies, rushing for 155 yards. After entering the rankings and wins over Northern Illinois and Rutgers, Michigan's defense flexed their muscle, winning at Wisconsin for the first time in 20 years, dominating the Badgers 38-17. Mental toughness and regaining the buzz were defining after a loss to Michigan State. Coach Harbaugh led the Wolverines as they dominated Indiana 29-7, setting up the rest of November. 3 Aiden Hutchinson sacks and 2 by David Ojabo gave Michigan a gutty win at Penn State. And all 3 phases kicked in a romp at Maryland, setting up the annual rivalry meeting with number 2 Ohio State. A dominant 42-27 win led by 5 touchdowns by Hassan Hoskins and 3 more sacks by Aiden Hutchinson, put Michigan in the Big Ten championship game for the first time. After a CFP clinching win over Iowa, Michigan completed its 3rd 12-win season in program history, defeated Ohio State for the first time since 2011, and had a Heisman runner-up in Aiden Hutchinson. And they became the first team to reach the college football playoff after beginning the season unranked. So yes, the buzz has returned.
He is the very definition of a Michigan man. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Harbaugh. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Just great to be here. And wasn't it great just to be in college football stadiums across the country? It was phenomenal. David, that's a awesome story, what you did for your brother. And yeah, didn't know that I didn't know that happened. But good old-fashioned brotherly love is not dead. Love it. And Kenneth, your story, amazing. Coach Robinson, you know, from a very early time, I knew I wanted to play as long as I could, then coach, and then die. So I idolized coaches, and you were one of them, Coach Robinson. I had a collage, a USC collage. I cut pictures out of Sports Illustrated, and Bobby Knight was another coach that I thought of that way, and Bo Schembechler, and Bear Bryant. So, thank you very much. We'll be in Houston for a couple days. This is our vacation. Brought the whole family. Plan on going to the aquarium, to the zoo, and hopefully to NASA. So thank you very much, Houston.
It is the moment we have all been waiting for, the announcement of our College Coach of the Year. Andrew, do you have the card?
I do not, but I know who does. It is Mark Bryant Tyson, the grandson of Bear Bryant, accompanied by Dave Gorin from the National Sports Media Association, an audit supervisor from McConnell Jones, Derek Brown. I said I don't, but Mark Bryant Tyson knows. Mark?
Good to see y'all again. I know to keep this short. I know my audience is when we get here, but what great speeches. I want to thank the Heart Association for this event and for keeping my grandfather's name alive. He was Papa to me, and hearing these stories tonight, Coach Robinson and Coach McKay's stories, and from Coach Shaw, congratulations. It just keeping his name alive is very special, and this is a very special event. Now for what we've been waiting on, the winner of this year's award. I always try to get them to tell me, but they won't ever tell me. Coach Luke Fickle is the winner. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Again, I apologize for not being able to be there, but I think you might need to recheck that card. I don't know if somebody made a miscount. I'm not sure that I'm as deserving as anybody. I mean, obviously the other 8 coaches, I know Coach Saban and Coach Smart, obviously, who won the national championship, but everybody involved. Again, thank you to the American Heart Association for saving lives, everybody that voted on this. I, too, want to thank the Bryant family. We just kind of said it. You talked about the families of the coaches. I always try to make sure I make a point to say the families, so the Bryant family, for your ability. Obviously, we know that no great coach doesn't have people behind them. And just like in my situation, my wife, Amy, is really the rock star, and she keeps this whole thing going and gives me an opportunity. There's 6 kids at home. She gives me the opportunity to do what I love to do. I accept this award on behalf of our entire football program, our team, but most importantly, those 32 seniors. So thank you very much. I'm humbled and I'm honored.
It has been a wonderful evening here at the Post Oak Hotel in Houston for the 36th Paul Bear Bryant Awards, presented by Marathon Oil. From the red carpet before our event to meeting all the dignitaries and, dare I say, icons in honor of that legend, Paul Bear Bryant. We've done this 36 times. We'll do it a 37th time next season. We thank you so much for being here in person and joining us as well. Thanks, everyone.